Hi, everybody. It's Joy Brooks at Email and Coffee today. We're talking with Jen Capstraw, who is who, see, I flubbed it already, who is a speaker, writer, and email geek and co-founder of Women of Email. Hey, Jen, how you doing today?
Terrific, and pleased to be invited to the coolest talk show in all of email.
Thanks so much. We'd be drinking coffee right now, but it's a little late. But tell me, what kind of coffee would you be drinking if you were drinking coffee?
I am a diehard fan of the Illy brand, and I like the dark roast, and I buy in bulk, and I consume a lot of it. I have probably had an entire pot today, so it's best that I don't have an evening coffee. So today it's email and agua.
Agua, agua. See, agua, see. Cheers. I just purchased Godiva chocolate, Godiva caramel, and Godiva hazelnut coffee, and tried all three today, and they were very delicious.
You sound very bougie, Joy. I'm impressed. I like to heat up a little half and half, and I've got one of those little foamers. And so it's like a little latte every single time. It's a very special treat.
Very special. Coffee's very special to me.
Agree. It is sacred.
So today we're going to talk about networking, but before we get into networking, I want you to tell us a little bit about what you're doing, a little bit about yourself. What makes Jen?
Well, I'm best known as president and co-founder of Women of Email, which is a 501c3 nonprofit association for women whose careers touch email marketing. And we've got over 5,000 members now. In last time I checked, it was 55 countries on 6 continents. It might be more by now.
It's cool.
And I have worked previously at nonprofits and brands and agencies and startups and big tech companies. And I am now self employed. And I'm putting my expertise in email marketing strategy and my reputation as a thought leader in the email industry to work for a number of really cool brands that are not brands, but other, but vendors in the email space that I really believe in. So leveraging my network has been a big part of that transition into consulting and in striking out on my own.
Yeah, that's sort of why I picked this topic to speak with you because, networking is very special. It when you're younger, you don't think you need it as much, but as you get older, you find that like-minded people in your industry are the only ones that understand you. And while, brain surgeons, I suppose, have the same issue, but very few people understand what we do in email marketing. You could say you're an email marketer, and people go, "Oh," and they walk away thinking, "What? What is that? What?" So, I particularly my journey to email marketing was um, started in about 2006. I'm sorry, my journey to networking started about 2006 when I started working remote, and I was completely siloed. I didn't associate with other people in my at the job. I didn't associate with the people in the industry. I really felt like I was completely alone. And I started playing around, investigating with different local groups, and got involved in the Direct Marketing Association and some other local Long Island, because I am in New York on Long Island, networking groups. Quickly ended up on the boards or volunteering, and really began to feel very comfortable and pleased with the effort that I made. So, tell me a little bit about how it happened for you. How did you start networking? When did you begin networking?
Probably I got serious about it around the same time as you. You said you cited 2006. Prior to that, I was working at a nonprofit for about 5 years in Huntersville, North Carolina. And I tried to go to some networking events. You know, we didn't have online communities that were as powerful as they are today. We didn't have LinkedIn. We certainly didn't have Women of Email. We didn't have Email Geeks Slack. And I found out about some kind of a group, and I went to a couple of meetings and made small talk with strangers, and it was so awkward
Mhm.
and just cringy. And I think that when people hear networking, that word, that's what they think of, that like really bizarre kind of, I don't know anyone here and I really want to get out of this room. I have been there and I'm super outgoing and I love people, and even I can't stand that situation. And so I didn't get serious about it at all, but I did observe the salespeople that were calling on me and the way that they operated with me, how they built a genuine relationship with me. Right there, they're like, let's get lunch, let's get to know each other. I got so friendly with one of my vendors that, you know, he took me and my partner at the time out to dinner with him and his wife. and and so I started to appreciate, like, these are true relationships. It's not something that is super transactional. So if you're the kind of person who says I hate people, then networking's not for you. Right? And you're also probably not going to get too far with your career. I think we all should like and appreciate people. So I moved to Manhattan in 2006 and I started working at a B2B company, and I learned a lot from sales there as well. And the sales guys, they've got budget, they go to parties, right? They're fun and they keep the lights on. And often people who are in marketing roles don't have enough respect for salespeople. Oh, they're slimy and you know, they're abusing the expenses and so forth. But they would invite me to industry events because I was collaborating with them so closely in my capacity as the leader for communications and digital marketing, that they just kind of took me into the fold, and they would take me out, and the parties were fun and the parties were networking. And so that was a lot more enjoyable than those awkward, creepy, like networking events of 15 years ago. So I didn't really ever think to myself, oh, I've really got to level up my networking game. I never did anything truly intentionally, but if I needed to talk to someone or wanted to talk to someone, I didn't hesitate. So I would say it was probably around 2011 or so. I went to my first email conference and I was so excited to be.
Do you know, remember what that was?
Yes, I was a Silver Pop customer, and it was the Silver Pop conference in Atlanta. Silver Pop, who no longer exists, became part of IBM and is now called Acoustic, but it is originally was Silver Pop. And I was so thrilled to go to this event and to meet other email marketing professionals and to see my email heroes, the thought leaders. I'd been reading their blogs and attending their webinars and learning so much from them. And Mcdonald was one of my big heroes. And I remember watching his presentation and being so excited, introducing myself to him. And he was lovely and wonderful about it. And since then, we've become friendly, and it's really lovely to that I can consider myself now a peer to him when he was kind of a hero of mine back then. But there was another speaker at that event that I admired a lot, who I shall not name. And I spotted him in the lounge of the hotel where the event was. After hours, there were some cocktail events, and I approached him. Like, it, I was there alone. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have anyone to talk to, but I really admired him and I wanted to say something. And I approached him and I asked, excuse me, and I introduced myself. I'm Jen, and I've been really enjoying, this series that you've been writing. And he turned around and he looked at me and he had his cocktail in hand. And as I was speaking to him, he turned his back around and turned his back to me and continued speaking to other people and just ignored me.
These things do happen.
2 years later, he came up to me at a conference because he wanted to know who I was.
Karma goes around, right?
Right. I'm not sure I ever told him that story, but
He didn't remember you?
no, absolutely not.
My
He
first,
knows me now.
my first conference was Litmus.
Oh, that's a great one.
It was great. It was fabulous. And it was the first Litmus. It was high energy. And that's where I met Jason Rodriguez and Elliot Ross. And I've been friends with them ever since.
Yeah, you can make some great connections if you go to the right conferences and you're around the right people. And what's really beautiful about the email community is that it's so tight knit and it's really easy to make friends, build relationships with so many people. It's so warm and welcoming, and I think that's very unique to us.
Yeah, it's very true. In my experience, when you were saying that it's sometimes difficult, it's awkward. You meet somebody, you have the conversation, you feel like you're talking to insurance salespeople. It's like the oddest people go to networking events, and it turns into somewhat of a get me out of here. How fast can I get out of here? Can I just disappear off the face of the earth? Type of a thing. I find it's really important to do one-on-one. So I may single out somebody to have a conversation with, and it's not the type of thing where I'll spend 5 minutes and walk over to meet somebody else. I don't want to do that. That's too superficial for me. So, it's important to me to foster those relationships. And that's my kind of networking. And I've done that. You're one of those people that I did that with, because we sat together at another conference, dinner hour together. We met and chatted, and we just became friends after that. And that's important to me. So, how can people get the most bang out of marketing? It isn't just, shaking hands, exchanging cards, and leaving each other flat, and making a phone call, perhaps, years later, saying, "Do you remember me?" It really is friendship. Like, what's your experience?
I agree. It has to have a level of authenticity and not be one-sided, right? There shouldn't be some kind of like icky motive behind it. It's okay to have an objective and to reach out to somebody, but it shouldn't be because you want to get something from them. So I am contacted pretty often by people in the industry who want to know me for one reason or another, and I'm really open to that. And most people who are prominent in our industry, they're also open to that. So if there's someone you want to talk to, firsthand, just reach out to them, and they're probably going to be very welcoming and polite and kind and happy to talk to you too. So we welcome that, but be sure that you are respectful of their time. You could potentially be taking them away from their billable work. Like, you have no idea what they're charging for their time, and they are generously giving it to you. So be conscious of that, and don't ask for too much. I've had strangers contact me via LinkedIn asking for email strategy advice, and if I give them just a nibble of like, here, let me try and put you on the right track, and direct you to an article or a community or something like that, then they'll continue to hammer me with questions. Like, listen, I'm not on the clock. I don't even know you. And this is a little disrespectful of me and my time. I put you on the right track. Also, when people ask for like that virtual coffee, I'm happy to do that. But something that makes a huge impression on me when they do that is if they follow up in some way, and maybe tell me a takeaway, and it's going to make them more memorable to me, and like more likely to like want to interact in the future. One lady was so kind. She sent me a little jar of cactus jelly. I think she was from Arizona. And so as a thank you, she wanted to give me a taste of Arizona. And I think, it was just a little tiny token, but you can see it was very memorable to me. Maybe it cost her $7 to buy it and to ship it, but it meant a lot to receive that. And like notes that I've received have been so meaningful to me. And so and I actually have issues with working memory, and it's hard for me to remember uh, names and certain conversations, details. So that also helps me remember you. So if you want to network with me, make yourself memorable. But yeah, our doors are all open. Reach out to your email heroes and ask for their time, but be sure you have a purpose and are respectful of it.
One of the things that I've noticed is that I may reach out to somebody and not get an answer, or get an answer and then it falls apart. Don't take it personally. Stuff happens, you
Mhm.
know. Maybe, give it some time, try again. Don't hammer anybody. There may be, like you said, they may be very busy. You may have sent a request, it may have registered, they got really busy, they may have completely forgotten about it. Um, or, they just may not necessarily know how to say no, they don't want to say no, they want to do it, but they know they are incapable of doing it for so many reasons. Maybe, they're out of town, they've got personal things going on. We're all people. So, you know, like you said, be respectful of their time, because um, just this week flew by. And if somebody had asked me to do anything for them, I would have said yes. And it would have been just one more thing on top of a million things going on in my plate. So,
Yeah, and I do welcome that second ping if someone doesn't hear from me, because yeah, I've got a lot on my plate too. I
yeah,
forget things. It can be difficult. So I'm okay with that second ping, but if I don't follow up at that point, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's like I tell my husband, who tells me, "Oh, don't forget to buy this, when you food shop. Can you please tell me on Saturday? Please nag me on Friday. Please don't forget." But it's Wednesday. It's going like this over my head.
I was fortunate that creating Women of Email became a very easy way for me to network because I was collaborating with a lot of industry leaders on initiatives for the organization. And so they got to know me pretty quickly. And reaching out to members of the organization who were interested in things like our scholarship program and our speakers bureau. So I got to know a lot of women very quickly in the industry. Um, I guess I have a certain level of infamy with some people who were unfortunately not huge fans of Women of Email in the early days. And that's fine too, but love me or hate me, you know who I am now. And I'm good with that. And someone described me recently as a human social network. And I just had to laugh because I didn't realize that I had that reputation. And your
A lot
invitation
of people.
to talk to you today was, I guess I do have that reputation. But I have a lot of one-on-ones with members who are interested in becoming thought leaders. And I take a lot of notes and I refer back to those notes whenever we're looking for speakers and so forth. Or I'll remember, okay, I definitely had a conversation with someone about this topic. And I keep all my notes in Microsoft OneNote and it's searchable. So I can like search keywords and find the note and find the person. Again, my notes are copious because of my working memory issues, and it has served me really well. And I love going to events where Women of Email, we try to create um, opportunities for people to get together and socialize. We never call it networking. We just, it is networking though, but it's like, oh, hey, we're all gonna meet.
Collaborating. We're meeting. We're
We're
collaborating. We're lunching.
we're having lunch, we're having dinner, we're going to have cocktails, or even at conferences like, hey, a group of people are going to get together for breakfast, just show up. um, and it's natural and it doesn't feel awkward, And there's something so unique about email people coming together IRL. Um, we are all so different backgrounds. We all kind of fell into it, but there's a like-mindedness. There's like, you need to have that mix of left brain, right brain.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, you have to love problem solving, and you ended up in something that is not considered remotely sexy at all, right? Nobody's trying to be an email marketer. And there's something magical when we're all in a room, we're all friends. So anyone who wants to be better networked in this industry once a pandemic is over,
Or
do it in person. But for now, we're so fortunate to have powerful communities like Email Geek Slack and the Women of Email Facebook group. And it's so easy to get to know people in those environments. And you can shoot a DM to whoever you want to and build those relationships that way. It's yeah, I just never call it networking, but that really is what it is, right?
a lot of the, a lot of the meetings have gone, Zoom or, Google Meetup, whatever. Um, and where you wouldn't be able to meet up with people in Toronto, if they've got a networking meeting, you can sign up and go to it, and suddenly, you're meeting up with people you would never have met up with. I'm hoping those things don't change. It's a little odd because for people that are very used to their community and it being a local community and a local group, they may think or they think, well, what is this person from New York hanging around in Vancouver for, or something like that. And I'm thinking we would never have gotten together if it hadn't been for COVID and if it hadn't been for these tools. So I'm hoping some of this doesn't ever go away. I'm all for it. And some of the other types of networking may not be for work. They may be, you like to sew, you like to knit, you like to, you like to read, a networking group that just talks about, a book reading club, any of those things. Like-minded people where you're not going to a bar, you're going to a small group that has a common interest that you can bond with, learn them, learn more about the topic. Those things are a lot of fun. They may be, I don't know, you may be embarrassed to admit to people that I belong to a book club. But it's just recently I met up with somebody from LinkedIn. We started talking with each other. We decided to every 2 weeks to do a Zoom session, and now we decided, what we're going to do? We're going to start reading books. We're going to talk about the books together. What? Who would have ever thought that would have ever happened? It's a complete stranger contacted me.
Yeah,
Why? Because they were an email marketing person, they were my age, and they thought, you know what, maybe, we could talk. Maybe there's some things in common that we could share with each other. And it turned out it was true. So networking can be on all sorts of levels.
it's just relationships, right? And the same thing happened to me today. I have been in touch with someone that I met who runs events. Did your lights just went out?
I know.
Gone dark in there.
Isn't that scary?
Ooh,
Ooh. All right, we're gonna talk to me in the dark now.
so someone who's a business contact of mine that we've been communicating on various projects that we've been working on together. We just enjoy our conversations so much, and they veer beyond the business that we're focused on, and we have different points of view, and we're like really benefiting from the perspective that the other person is presenting. And so today when we had a meeting, well, we had a meeting last week or a few days ago, and we couldn't even get through everything that we wanted to talk about because we were so excited to talk about other things. So we scheduled another meeting, and we again did not get through everything. Well, we got just enough done on the project that we're doing together, but we just discovered like we have so much in common and so much to talk about that why don't we just set up a recurring monthly? And that's terrific. And this is someone I've never met out physically in the real world. We've just connected a handful of times on some projects, hit it off. And there are people in my network that like we've gotten to know each other through, we started working on a project together, but we just liked each other. So now we're meeting, every few months, like, hey, we should have like a little virtual happy hour. What do you think? And it's terrific. And it's like 90% socializing, but there ends up being like 10% business. Oh, like, I should introduce you to this person. I think that'd be valuable to you. It just inspires ideas. And something that I think is really important about the part of your network that you hold closest is to surround yourself with people who are of high emotional intelligence and are going to challenge you to be your best professionally. You want to be very careful to curate your network. Your network does not need to be huge, but it needs to be high quality.
Mm.
And if you surround yourself with negative people, people who are doing more complaining than taking action in their life and inspiring you to take action, right? We all need to blow off steam every now and then, but someone in your network, they're not there for you to okay to express your challenges and to seek their input as someone that you respect.
Mhm.
So surround yourself with high quality people that you aspire to be like, and it works. It makes you a better person.
Yeah, positive people who are positive, who are acting, not just talking. It's yeah. Sometimes it becomes a one-way street, and it really is a two-way street. So it's not all about I'm going to go out. I need other people to give to me. It's a two-way street. Sometimes I'm going to need to have that discussion, but I want to be able to give back that discussion. So, where it starts that you're going to a networking group because you need to expand yourself, at some point, it becomes you're going to the network group because people are going to feed on you. And you're aware of that. It happens, it's an evolution. When did you when did you evolve from going to events to being the event? I mean, how did that happen? It's an odd type of a thing to say, and for you to even answer. But there was a time when you were going, and now you're the panel.
I never thought of it that way, that I'm the event.
You know, and I wouldn't say I wouldn't. I'm not feeding your ego, but I'm saying that people are now coming because you're there, as opposed to you going there to see other people like Lauren McDonald. Like those people. Now you're that person.
Well, I had something to say and I had the courage to say it. So it really started, I can tell you the moment that I think it started was the very first EIQ conference, which was in March of 2017. And we were invited, Women of Email was invited to host a panel on diversity and gender issues in the email industry. And we put together this amazing panel and we decided to speak our truths and to talk about problems in a very direct way. And we were terrified, scared to death to get up on that stage and have this conversation that we hadn't been had before in our industry. And man, with the nerves, like we were all five of us just like, okay, we don't know how this is going to go. And we got up there and we did our thing. And the response from the audience was so amazing. They were yelling their support in the middle of the session. And the stats and the comments from the panelists and the cheering, people felt seen and heard. We were saying the things that they were feeling, but that they never were able to feel comfortable articulating. And today, 5 years later, it's out in the open, right? We're talking about uh, race in the industry. We're talking about gender issues openly. I'm in the early stages of talking about neurodiversity in the workplace because that's the next marginalized group that we need to start addressing. But those conversations weren't happening in 2017. And after we did that, people were approaching me for literally hours at coming up to us right after the session, looking for us at the cocktail hour and the dinner party, and then the after dinner party. And it was honestly probably the highlight of my career to date is how I felt in that moment and being a part of a group of people who just said what they had to say. And it was so warmly received and embraced. And I kind of bring that to everything that I do. I'm not always talking about diversity issues and gender issues, but when I talk about email marketing, I have a very distinct point of view that I think there's some terrible advice out there, and I'm gonna tell you what my point of view is, and I'm gonna try and entertain you while I do it. So it just has always come naturally to kind of just blurt out exactly what I think, and I guess I've got some talent for storytelling and articulating it in a way that people find entertaining and engaging. So it is really special that did work out for me, and it is nice that they're coming to see me because I've made a career of it now.
You made a career of being who you are. And uh, we all have, we're all marginalized, we're all special, we're all very diverse, but we can link up, we can recognize the differences that we have and recognize that those differences marginalize us, so that while we're all in our little splinter groups, if we recognize that we are all in our splinter groups, suddenly we become the big group. And if we can all talk about it, we'll find that we all have experiences that are similar, while not exactly the same. We begin to empathize with other people and associate and communicate. And it's very important to do that. And like you said, to do that in a positive way and not a negative way, not to complain about it, not to say this is where it sucks, but this is where it needs work. And these are, my opinions on how to work it, and not to give up. And once you do that, people will recognize that. I mean, they will stand up and shout. They will look to you because you're giving them your way out, or you're showing them your way out, showing them that you're like them, and giving them a light at the end of the tunnel, which most everybody needs. It's I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I find that our industry, there are a lot of women. I don't know if that's if that's a demographic that only I see, or if that's a true demographic.
There are data points. So there have been a couple of surveys. I think there have been 3 surveys, and it's almost evenly split. The
Mhm.
last one I saw was 51% women in
Women.
email marketing. Mhm.
Which is kind of interesting, because I would say that do we have any other stats on how other businesses are? I mean, is it like 45% with the rest being men, or do you know if there are any other numbers like that?
I mean, there are certainly surveys for every industry.
I just
Yeah.
feel that and having gone to different conferences, I do see a lot of women in email, and I don't necessarily know how that happened or why that happened.
I have some theories. You want to hear them?
Yeah.
So the running joke is nobody picks email, email picks you. You just kind of fall into it. And email's not the sexy channel. Nobody aspires to do it. It doesn't occur to anyone that this is a career path that's going to be interesting and fulfilling. And in a lot of companies, it was just not something that was valued. It needed to be delegated to someone who's got some problem solving capacity, someone who's not that important but can get things done. And it just kind of got handed off to us. And I think that it was a lot of women in early in their career, maybe in like semi-administrative roles, like a little bit of marketing, a little bit of admin. Oh, she'll figure it out. Someone has to do it, and it's not important enough for these other people to do it. So I think it just kind of fell to a lot of women because they were not perceived the same way that the men on those digital teams are. Have you ever seen a man early in his career doing administrative tasks combined with his professional tasks? No, but you see women doing that. So I think that's how so many women ended up doing it. It just kind of got delegated to them because they were not perceived as being important enough for it. And now we own it. It is our industry.
It sounds to me, you just explained how I found email.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Being in marketing and my boss telling me, oh, my accountant tells me that if you go on the internet, you can get email addresses and then you could send them information. And this was in the year 2000. And when he meant you can go on the internet and get email addresses, it's called spidering. It was called spidering. You got little tools that literally went to websites and pulled all their email addresses down.
And it was before canned spam.
It was right before canned spam. But you could still get in trouble. Your internet provider could still basically turn you off. But that's exactly how I got into email marketing. Exactly. That's very interesting.
I think that's also explains the culture of our communities and how we all just really get along and understand each other. I think we're a community of underdogs, people who were underestimated, and we fell into it and we discovered it was interesting and challenging, and we stuck with it. And the people who don't find it interesting and challenging do not stick with it. So those of us who stick,
right.
We have so much in common with the other people who stuck. There's a like-mindedness, and so you're never alone when you walk into an email event. You're among friends.
Among like-minded friends. It's true. It's very true. Jen, we're coming to the end of our little discussion here, and it's been a lot of fun, as it always is. If people wanted to find you on the internet, where would they find you?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. Follow me.
What's the best way to get to you if people do want to find you?
Well, I am honestly trying to build up that Instagram account right now. I've turned it into a professional account, and I'll be talking about like the things that I'm doing and posting stories and all of that. So you can hit me up there, number one. But feel free to like send me a request on LinkedIn. If you've got a message for me, sure, shoot it to me.
I'll post your Instagram handle and any other information you like with this YouTube video at the end, so people will be able to contact you.
Yeah, and my handle for everything is Jen Capstraw. Easy to find.
You're lucky that you could find that. Believe it or not, I was able to find it too. So most of my handles are just Joy Brooks with an I.
There's only one other Jennifer Capstraw in the world.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that Kate Capstraw's daughter? No, okay.
Capshaw is her name, not Capstraw. People.
That's true.
A lot.
Besides, her name is Spielberg now.
That's right. I don't think anyone who wasn't watching film in the 80s would have any idea who she is now.
I know. I'm full of those little throwbacks. Most of them are Seinfeld throwbacks.
Of course they are.
Most of them are. It's been a pleasure, Jen. And at this point in time, it's been another show with Email and Coffee. Happy email marketing, y'all.
Thanks for having me, Joy.
You bet. Take care now.